Hey everybody, let's greet each other properly. Good morning. This is Mr. Ainsworth, and we're going to get into our fifth lesson here in the fifth unit. And we're going to take some binomials and multiply them with trinomials. And we're going to multiply trinomials with other trinomials using what's called a distributive property, all right? A property that you guys are well versed with. All right, so here we go. Don't work ahead. Just go ahead and work with me step by step. If you're working in front of a computer here, then obviously pause and play because it's the video, right? So if I go too fast, then pause the video and then go at your own pace. All right, here we go. We're going to take the binomial x plus 3 and multiply it by a trinomial, okay? And we're going to first distribute our first term. We're going to distribute it 3 times because we have a trinomial now. All right, so we're going to take our first term and multiply it by the first term, and first times second, and first times third. If we need to do any side work, we got room. All right. So again, here we go. We're going to multiply using the distributive property. First times first, all right? X times x squared. Well, that's x cubed, right? So I'm going to start off with x cubed. All right, when you multiply like variables, you add the exponents. When multiplying, all right, like variables or like bases, you can say bases, you can say variables. Doesn't really matter. Okay, you add the exponents as you guys already know. So that's one key concept right there. X times x squared gives you x cubed. 1 plus 2 is 3, obviously. And that should make sense because x squared is x times x. So really what you're doing here is you're multiplying 3 x's together, and that's why you have x cubed. So x times x squared is x cubed. Okay, I see a minus sign, so I'm going to put a minus sign. All right, x times 4x. Notice that I look at the minus sign first, and I put that first. And that way I don't even have to worry about the sign of the number here. I just look at x times 4x. Now x times, 4x is the same thing as, well, if I regroup here, 4 times x, because in multiplication the order doesn't matter, nor does the grouping matter. So I group up the variables. I get x times x here is x squared, so I get a 4x squared here. I'm stepping this up because in previous lessons, you got to recall the basic skills, okay? X times 4x is 4x squared, so minus 4x squared here. Notice I'm going slow. Okay, now first times third, right? And I see a minus sign here. Positive times a negative is a negative, or you can think minus sign, right? X times 5, well, that's 5x. Okay, here's a basic. X times 5 is equal to 5 times x, and that's equal to 5x. It's that simple. X times 5 is 5x, so minus 5x. So I take the first term here and distribute it 3 times. First times first times second, first times third. That's called the distributive property, okay? All right, now what I want to do is I want to distribute the next term. Now, the next term is positive 3 because I see the plus sign. I'm going to switch colors now, and I'm going to line up like terms. Okay, line up like terms. That's a major concept I'm going to go over here. All right, you're only able to add and subtract like terms. So here we go. X or 3 times x squared. Well, 3 times x squared is 3x squared. And notice I have the squares in the second position here. So I've got 3x squared here. I'm going to put plus 3x squared because guess what? It's positive, right? So I got 3x squared here. Line up like terms. And I'm talking about right there, the squares with the squares, right? Now, first or second term times second term. So I got 3 times a negative 4x, or I see a positive times a negative is a negative, so I'm going to put a minus sign. 3 times 4x, let me see, 3 times 4x is 12x, right? So I'm going to put a 12x right here. 3 times negative 4x is negative 12x, and that's why you see the minus sign there. And then last times last, 3 times negative 5. So 3 times negative 5, or you can just put a minus sign and think 3 times 5, and that's 15. All right, so notice that I line up like terms. I group up the squares or line up the squares. I line up the x's here, line up like terms, draw a line, and add. All right, bring down the leading term here. We always write terms in what's called descending order. Descending order. Okay, what is that? Well, it's high to low. Everybody say high to low. Okay, high to low. High to low, so third degree first, right? Okay, now, a negative 4 plus 3. Negative 4 plus 3, you have more negatives, so negative 1. Add the coefficients, okay? These are called coefficients. In fact, let me write that down here. Okay. Add coefficients. All right. So -4 plus 3 is -1. You have more negative when you, if you have more negative when you add two numbers, your answer is going to be negative, right? -4x squared plus 3x squared. Well, that gives you a -1x squared. So we're going to write a minus sign here, a -1x squared, or you can say a -x squared. Again, straight addition, right? Squares with squares combine with squares. That's why we always add up like terms. X's with x's combine with other x's. -5 plus -12. Let me see. -5 plus -12. A negative plus a negative is a bigger negative. -17. So -17x. And then bring down your constant -15. Now notice the order here. Look at the degrees. 3rd degree, 2nd degree, 1st degree, and then a 0-degree constant. All right, that's called descending order, all right, in respect to its exponents. Highest exponent down to the lowest. Descending order. All right. So if you need to do any side work, go for it, okay, as you learn it. All right, but you just have to distribute 6 times. Why 6 times? Well, you distribute the first term 3 times because you're distributing to a trinomial, which has 3 terms. You're distributing the second term in 3 times. So 3 and 3 is 6. Or you can say, hey, I got 2 terms here, I got 3 terms here. 2 times 3 is 6. So you got to multiply 6 times. All right, so the only thing you got to do is get some experience, right? So, and that's called practice. All right, that's how you get good. Now remember, this is a video, so if you're sitting there and you didn't quite get it, before you go on to the next one, rewind it, listen to it again. All right, practice good habits. Do some side work if you need to. All right, here we go. Next one, we've got x times 8x squared. So x times 8x squared. Well, that's 8 times x squared, and that's 8x cubed. Why? Because when you multiply like variables, you add your exponents. So I get 8x cubed here. And then I've got a minus sign here, so I write minus x times x. Well, that's simple. You better know that. That's just x squared. All right. X times x is defined to be x squared. So we got a minus x squared here. And then first times third, x times -9, or an x times a -9. That's a -9x. Switching colors, here we go. You got to distribute through the -5 3 times. Again, you got distributing through the first term 3 times, and then distributing the next term, the second term, 3 times. -5 times 8x, so -5 times 8x. That's just -40x. Negative times positive negative. So you got a x squared there. -40x squared. Line up like terms again. Line up like terms right there. Okay, line up the squares with other squares, right? -5 times 8x squared is -40x squared. So line up the squares. And I've got -5 times -x. A negative times a negative is a double negative or positive. So let me see, -5 times -x is positive 5x. So I'm going to put down plus 5x here. And then -5 times -9. -5 times -9, positive 45. So you see a plus 45 here. Draw your line, add, bring the lead term down. So I got 8x cubed, again, descending order, highest degree first. A -1 plus a -40. A negative plus a negative is bigger negative. A negative plus a negative equals bigger negative. Right? So -1 plus -40 is -41. So -41 x squared. Squares with squares combine with squares. All right, -9 plus 5. -9 plus 5, I have more negative. So it's -4. So -4x. And then bring down the plus 45. And that's how it's done, my friends, okay? You just have to, again, add vertically. Let me write that down too. Add vertically. Take really good notes, do a good job, and step it out, and it's not that hard. Add vertically, squares with squares, x's with x's, and bring down the constant. That's all you have to do. Even when it comes to taking 2 trinomials and multiplying them together, but this time you got 3 terms times 3 terms. 3 times 3 is 9, so you got to multiply 9 times. Okay, multiply 9 times. Why 9? Well, let me see. You got to distribute the first term 3 times, the second term 3 times, the third term times 3 times. All right, so we're going to go slow on this one. All right, here we go. First times first. So we've got x times 7x squared. Excuse me, x squared times 7x squared. So x squared times 7x squared, what's that? Well, it's 7 times x squared times x squared. X squared times x squared is x to the 4th. So you get 7x to the 4th because you get, again, add your exponents here. In this lesson here, I'm really stepping things out in detail because I found that in prior lessons there were some weaknesses. So I'm slowing down and really paying attention to detail, doing a lot of side work here. Okay, so I got 7x squared first. Excuse me, 7x to the 4th. Okay, a square times a square gives you a 4th degree. Second degree times second degree gives you 4th degree. Now, first term times the second term. I got x squared times a negative 5x. So, come on. X squared times a negative 5x. So that's negative 5 times x squared times x. Regrouping, negative 5x cubed. So you got a minus 5x cubed here. And then first times third. X squared times a negative 3, well, that's simple, just a negative 3x squared. Switching colors to blue. All right, I got to distribute the second term 3 times. So here we go. Negative 2x now. Not 2x, but negative 2x. So you look in front of it. See, if I was adding 2x, then it'd be positive, but I'm subtracting 2x, so that term's really negative. So negative 2x times a 7x squared. So negative 2x times 7x squared. Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. X times x squared is x cubed. So negative 14x cubed. And then you line up like terms. Let me write that down again. Line up like terms. Slow down the video right now and write that down. You got to really stay organized on this because we're multiplying 9 terms. And you got to line up like terms right here. Cubes with cubes. Squares with squares. X's with x's. Constants with constants, and so on. Okay? Now we got second term times second term. We got negative 2x times negative 5x. Negative 2x times negative 5x. That gives you a 10x squared. Why? Negative times a negative is a positive. X times x is x squared. So plus x squared. And notice that I line them up. Then I can take my second term times the third term. Negative 2x times negative 3. Negative 2x times negative 3. Well, just 6x. So plus 6x here. 4th degree, 3rd degree, 2nd degree, 1st degree. Add up like terms, line vertically up. Okay, switching colors, here we go. Last one. So we got, it's hard to see, but we've got right here, 1 times 7x squared. Well, that's 7x squared, and line up like terms. So, and it's positive. Positive times positive, positive. So line up your squares together. And then we've got right here, 1 times minus 5x, negative 5x. And then 1 times negative 3, negative 3. Notice how I line up like terms. So we get 7x to the 4th. Okay, and then right here, you get cubes with cubes, right? A negative plus a negative is a bigger negative, as I said right up here. A negative plus a negative is a bigger negative. So negative 5 plus negative 14 is a negative 19. Negative 5 plus negative 14 equals negative 19, a bigger negative. So this gives me right here a minus 19x cubed. Okay. Now on the squares, we've got a lot to add. Starting with a positive, 10 plus 7 is 17. Take away 3, 14. Add up the positive first right here. 10 plus 7 is 17. Take away the 3, that's 14. So you get positive 14x squared. All right, 6x minus 5x is positive 1x, or you can just say x. Usually people don't put the 1 there. 6x minus 5x is x. You got 6 x's, take away 5 x's, you only have 1x remaining, right? Think simple subtraction, and then bring down the minus 3. And again, add vertically. Line up like terms and add vertically, and this stuff's easy. 4th degree, 3rd degree, 2nd degree, 1st degree, and then constant, which is your 0 degree term. All right, descending order, as I keep on saying throughout the video. Okay? And that's all there is to it. So let's continue here. All right? same idea on this one here as the previous one. We got two trinomials. We're multiplying them together, so we're going to multiply 9 times. 3 times 3 is 9. So again, go slow. Oh, you know what? I forgot to change this in my notes. I'm going to change it right now. So, okay, so let me see. Yours is changed, but not mine. So I'm going to change this to, I'm just going to rewrite it down now. Let me see here. Okay, we'll keep x squared minus x plus 2 times 3x squared minus 6x minus 1. There we go. Okay, so that's the same as yours. So let me just focus in on this. So here we go. So we got x squared times 3x squared. So x squared times 3x squared, and that's 3 times x squared, regrouping, and you get 3x to the 4th because, again, you add exponents here. All right, x squared times x squared is x to the 4th. So I got 3 x to the 4th. Okay, first times second. X squared times a negative 6x. X squared times negative 6x. That's negative 6 times x squared times x, regrouping, and that's a negative 6x cubed. So minus 6x cubed. First times third. X squared times negative 1, just negative x squared. All right. Switching colors. Here we go. Second term now. Right here. This is a negative 1x. So negative 1x times, let me write this out. Negative 1x here times 3x squared. All right. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. X times x squared is x cubed. So line up the cubes. Okay. Line up like terms. I could write it down as right above it right here. So negative 3x cubed. Line up cubes together. Cubes with cubes, right, guys? As I keep on saying. All right. Negative x times negative 6x. So negative 1x times negative 6x. What is that? Well, negative times a negative is positive. So you get negative 1 times negative 6 is 6. X times x is x squared. Line up the squares. It's positive. So plus 6x squared. And then negative 1x times negative 1. Negative 1x times negative 1, positive x. So let's add an x right here. Switching colors. Okay, now you get to distribute the 2 through. 2 times 3x squared, 6x squared. Line up the squares. So 6x squared. 2 times a negative 6x. 2 times negative 6x. Negative 12x, right? 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. So minus 12. Oop, there should be a plus sign in there. Let me just double check that. Let me see. Plus 4. Let me see. 2 times. What happened here? 2. Let me double check something here. We got negative x, negative. Okay, so negative. And we got negative x. Oh, that's a plus sign right here. Sorry, I misread my writing. Negative x times negative 1 is positive x, so I wrote down a plus x here. That's positive. I just misread my writing. Sorry about that, you guys. All right, back into gear here. So you got a minus 12x here, and then 2 times a negative 1. Well, that's just negative 2. There we go. You got to write legibly, otherwise you're not going to even be able to get the right answer if you can't read your own work. Okay. Bring down the lead coefficient and the lead term, so 3 to the 4th. All right, here we go again, going back to basics, negative 6 and negative 3, right? Negative 6 plus negative 3, a negative plus a negative is a bigger negative, right? So cubes with cubes give you cubes, negative 9x cubed, right? All right, starting with the positive numbers here. 6 plus 6 is 12. Take away 1, all right? That's 11, so plus 11x squared. Here, 1 minus 12. 1 minus 12, that's a negative number. All right, 1x minus 12x is negative 11x, and then bring down the minus 2. Again, descending order, 4th degree, 3rd degree, 2nd degree, 1st degree, and then constant 0 degree. And that's how it's done, my friends, okay? And what you need to do is give it a shot and try it on the backside here, okay? So pause the video, and when you're ready, you can press play, and you can check your work on the back side. Okay? Pause the video and go for it, because now it's your turn. You give it your best shot. Okay, we're back now here, and hopefully you have done your work here, and you've already done this, okay, because you're supposed to try it first, then check it. So if you haven't done so, pause the video again. If not, or if you did, let's go for it, okay? So here we go. X times x squared is x cubed. X times negative 3x is negative 3x squared. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. All right, switching colors. 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times negative 3x is negative 6x. And 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Adding vertically here, we got x cubed. We got negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1, so negative 1x squared. Negative 4 plus negative 6 is negative 10, so negative 10x, and then minus 8. Okay? Add vertically. All right, line up like terms and add vertically. Line up like terms. All right, and add vertically. All right, so let's keep that in mind. Okay, now, if you haven't done F yet, pause the video, give it a shot. Here we go, okay? This is only if you've done F already. So here we go, let's check your work. X times x squared is x cubed. X times negative 2x is negative 2x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Distributing through the minus 6, you get a minus 6x squared. Negative times a negative is positive, so positive 12x. And then another double negative, negative 6 times negative 3 is positive 18. All right, what do we get? We get x cubed, okay, minus 8x squared, because a negative 2 plus a negative 6 is negative 8. 12 minus 3 is 9, and it's positive, and then plus 18. Okay? All right, pause the video, try the next one. All right, let's check your work. Here we go. This is going to be multiplied 9 times, so we got 5x to the 4th minus x cubed. All right, minus x squared. Changing colors, distributing through the next term here. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15, so negative 15x cubed. Negative 3 times negative 1 would be 3, so 3x squared. Again, you'll see me line up like terms. And then negative 3x times negative 1 is positive 3x. Switching colors, distributing through the 1. 1 times anything is itself, so you can just rewrite the polynomial, because 1 times anything is itself. So we get 5x squared minus x minus 1. Okay, adding vertically, we get 5x to the 4th. Negative 1, negative 15 is negative 16, x cubed. 5 plus 3 is 8, minus 1 is 7, so plus 7x squared. 3 minus 1 is 2, so plus 2x, and then minus 1. Bring down the terms. Descend in order. Okay, pause the video and try the last one. Okay, here we go. Let's check your work. X squared times 2x squared is 2x to the 4th. First times second, all right, minus x cubed. First times third, x squared times negative 1, negative x squared. Changing colors, distributing through the negative x, you get a negative 2x cubed. Negative x times negative x is positive x squared. Right here we got negative x times negative 1 is a positive 1x. Changing colors, distributing through the 3, triples everything, so 6x squared here. Minus 3x, whoops, minus 3x, and then minus 3, because 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Then add vertically, we get 2x to the 4th. Negative 1, negative 2 is a negative 3, so minus 3x cubed. 6 and 1 is 7, minus 1, back to 6, so plus 6x squared. And a 1 minus 3 is a negative 2, so minus 2x, and then a minus 3. Hopefully I didn't make any silly mistakes. I will check it later. All right, so again, time to do your homework because that was just classwork. Okay, so turn the page, give your homework your best shot, check your work, and I'll see you in my next lesson. This is Mr. Ames. We're signing off. See you then.